Hey everybody, tonight we're going to be talking about the Bubble Push mechanical slider with buttons by 9hand. I got this from a store on AliExpress. I'm not sure what it was, but there's a link in the comments. We're going to be taking this apart. It's a little complicated, so I foresee this maybe taking a little longer than a half hour. So, we're going to take it apart, compare it, do the usual stuff. What's in the box, weights, measurements, comparisons. And I'd like to talk about tariffs a little bit too, so please stick around. We'll have some fun. So this was one of the last few things that I bought from AliExpress before the tariffs kicked in. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But right now, let's just look at sounds and feel. It's 11 clicks either direction. Then you have these black ceramic balls on either side, and this is kind of like the puffer. Well, it's not the puffer crash. It's not like one of those from Lauti. It's like that fish. These all have little clicker domes underneath, very much so like this one, which is one of the last pieces I reviewed. So it's very similar, but it's tricky to take apart. So I have a trick to help you do that. Say it arrives and one of them doesn't work, maybe something's cogged sideways on the inside, or you take it apart and you have trouble getting it back together, I might be able to help you. But it's got a nice little lanyard attachment hole here. That's very similar to the DJG lineup. That's a mechanical one, at least. They have a lot of sliders. Some are magnetic and some are mechanical, and some are chimes and tuning fork sliders and such. But right now, again with the tariffs, I don't know how affordable anything's going to be, but you see this would be the best, one of the best sliders you could get your hands on, I think. Low price and two different options. I have it on the 4-click option right now, but yeah. Both have the same kind of lanyard hole attachment, which is big enough. Even this one's a little bit smaller, but even this will fit 550 paracord, whether it still has the threads on the inside or whether you got it. Cutting it makes it easier to get through the hole on this one. But this one you wouldn't have any problem at all. What we're going to do here later is put, we're going to try a ring in here, and then we're also going to try a swivel clip that goes in there. And those are mine. They didn't come with it or anything. I just want to see how well it works with my lanyard clips, because I like to clip that on things that work with it. So we'll be exploring that, but it's a bit difficult to squeeze. It takes a significant amount of effort to get this going. Individually, not so much. I really think that this would have been a lot better with more, as many of these little clicker balls that they could fit on here, and not just a spaced out set of rows. Then you'd have more of a click response. Just because when your finger lands on it, it covers more at one time. And this one's just been great. This one's just been great. Let's just take a side trip with this quick. The lanyard hole on this one was too small for my clip, so I put a split ring on there. I have a couple black colored ones, and I can put my clip on there, and now you walk around and I run my finger up and down on it. I've really learned to like this one a lot. It's kind of cheap feeling, and it was only about $40. Again, after the tariffs, who knows what that could be, a lot higher. But yeah, we'll move on from there. Okay, so let's talk about tariffs a little bit. I'm not sure what's going on with AliExpress, because one of the stores that I deal with, G1, official store I think it's called, they posted an announcement on the 16th of April that you would experience the tariff charges when you were checking out, so to speak, when you finally hit the order button. It would include all the tariffs there somehow, and that has not come to happen. So I don't know what's going on. I have a question in with them to ask them what's going on. I don't want to place any orders to AliExpress, because if something's $100, you buy it for $100, and there's 145% tariff on it. If my math's right, it's going to end up costing $250 by the time you get it, and you're going to pay basically $150 extra. This was $70, so, and it's stainless steel, but it's $70, and with 145% tariff, it would have been $175. So I'm waiting to see what goes on with AliExpress. Boy, if prices are that high, you're not going to see me posting about anything fancy too often. It's going to have to be a very, very nice piece for me to lay that kind of money down on. I really set kind of a rule at $200, and I rarely get close to that. So let's move on from there. All right, what was in the box? Well, 9-hand seems to be getting a little bit more professional. I had the idea that maybe 9-hand is just INS Works store creating their own brand, but that may be the case. It doesn't matter. Decent packaging, and I'll hold this up if you want to translate any of it. Let's see if I can get a nice, steady, focused picture for you. All right. It's the same on both sides, so that's the same. There's nothing to translate there, nothing there. Here we have this. And that says, where'd my notes go? Here my notes are. That said bubble push somewhere up here. And I saw that a few other places, so that's the name I'm going with. I'm pretty sure that's the correct name. But if I'm not, somebody can let me know. In the box, we got another little tiny container. Used to get spinners in these. It came in this. Now, yeah, that was sealed. I'm confusing that with something else. I was going to say it wasn't sealed, but that's another piece that I got recently. We have a nice collection of springs here, and balls, and screws. Both, there's two different kinds of screws on this thing. We've got an extra big one and 5 extra smaller ones, and then some glass beads, or glass balls, and those appear to be 3mm. We'll measure them. But that's for the clicker portion of this, the mechanical clicker portion of this. They did not give you any extra balls for this. I don't think they really want you to take that apart. You'll see why in a minute. I could see, I've heard people, I think with that fish one, have run into trouble when they take it apart. And I think I came up with a way to make that a little bit easier. Okay, for comparisons, well, let's get out the two standards. I'd call them standards. Most people have one or have held one. We have the Metal Toys DZ Top B and the Mackie CP3, and we're just going to keep it quick. Side by side. Okay, I also had both of these out already too, but this is the DJG slider if you happen to have one. I know this is available in stainless steel, why can't I think, titanium, and a black or white polycarbonate, and then in PC. I have it in PC as well. PC, incidentally, is the only one that doesn't have these detents on the outside edges. So keep that in mind if you're going to get any of these. But side by side, roughly these are about the same size. This is thicker. Like I said, the lanyard hole is smaller on this one than this one. We'll talk about that in a moment. And finally, we have this thing from, who was it? horrible, horrible name. Kooten EDC. Kooten EDC. Since I have it out here, we'll just compare them side by side. They're about the same thickness. And this only has buttons on the one side, of course, but very nice. I've been having a lot of fun with this here through the week. Brought this in with me several times. So it's kind of a hybrid. I'd call this the mechanical portion, and then this would be the magnetic portion. But I more consider it mechanical. Anyhow, this is all mechanical. All mechanical. And we're going to weigh it and measure it and do the other stuff next. Okie dokie, here we go. There are no magnets in this, so I don't have to use any kind of spacer. 77 grams. Now for measurements. For height, I get from flat surface to flat surface, it's about 47.5. Width, about 26.5. Thickness with the buttons not being pushed in is just about 17 millimeters, and thickness without the buttons is about 14.5. And when it's fully extended, it'll be the same in either direction. From flat to flat, we're at about 66.15. Alrighty. Okay, it is now time to take this apart. Now there's going to be sort of a part 1 and a part 2 to this disassembly. We're going to take these pretty PEI plates with the balls and stuff off in part 2. Part 1 here, we're going to just get into the regular part of the mechanical slider. And we'll start with this 5/64 bit. I'm not sure. I'm sure these are metric, but this is what fits good for me. And just like any other slider like this, take it apart the same way. Keep pressure applied to both sides. Once these two screws are apart, it will come apart on you. Once these two screws are out, there we go. Bring this, let me think about this for a second. The balls are pointing down. I want the balls pointing down in this case. I took this apart earlier, so this is my second time. So in this case, everything drops down into the middle piece. You put here's your springs, here's your pin for the lanyard, and then there's another pin and two balls. This is your limiting pin. That slides up and down this middle slot, and that's what keeps it from sliding all the way out. So we have all these nice parts here, and we will be able to put it back together and then take off these sides. But that's it. That's it for this assembly. I don't know what else you need to do here. I figured while we have it apart, again, to reassemble it, we're just going to put everything back in its place. The biggest metal post goes in the middle. That's your limiting pin. Now it'll stop. And then we can go ahead and drop the balls in. And then put the springs on top of the balls. Whoops, that's the pin. Put the springs on top of the balls. I didn't bring my tweezers over. Okay. Then I got my tweezers here. I'll use these little guys. This is my Swiss Army knife, my trusty Swiss Army knife scissors. Which side looks flat? That looks flat to me. Drop that down in there. Now that's where you could either loop a piece of 550 paracord in there, but it might be easier if you gutted your paracord first, because it's, well, that's a pretty deep recess. Like I said, I think you could get regular 550 paracord through that without too much trouble, without having to gut the paracord. But what I wanted to show you because I wanted to see which one of these worked better for me if I decided to do it. This is just a swivel clip, and you can find these. You can find them. You can get a bunch of them at one time on Amazon, but I have some small ones. I've just collected things from garbage keychains and stuff my whole life, so I have a few of these around. That would work well, but I want to see if this split ring works. And this one is a 6mm. And I'm just actually going to try, I want to try that. I want to see there's not enough room. I like the swivel clip, but it adds length. And when you get length and then more length, then this gets further and further away from the thing you're trying to attach it to. So I was hoping to use this with my DJG. However, the 6mm is just too big. It's not wide enough in this direction here, and the pin is sticking out about as far as it can that way. So 6mm is too big. A 5mm is too small. I can get it in there, but then not enough of the ring sticks out to hook onto anything. So let's get back to this. I wanted to put this on and see how it fits. To see how it hangs over the edge, maybe I see it better if I put my hand under it. All we have to do is remember that the lanyard hole has to hit here and here, line those sides up, bring everything back down, and move, wiggle it a little if you have to, and you'll feel that pin. You can see that that pin for the lanyard hole made it into the right. It looks crooked to me. Am I just seeing it funny? Yeah, I think I'm just seeing it funny. Okay, now we can go ahead and put some screws back in. Let's see if it does fit. Will the lanyard... I don't need to put the screws in to see if the lanyard's going to fit or not. This could be a bit of a challenge. Ah, no, it was not a challenge. Hey, that's good. That's real good. Perfect. All right, I'm going to keep that on there for now. Well, just popped it out. Okay, so we got to take this apart again temporarily. Won't be hard. Lip straight off. I did it upside down. Okay, I'm going to get my tweezers. I'll be right back. Okay, now we can get back in business. Let's start with these balls. Then we got the springs. The top of the balls. We've got the central limiting pin. And then we have our lanyard pin. That'll sit in there. Again, I want to take my... Hey, get over here. Put that one there. Now we can put it back together again and give it a second shot. Make sure everything's together. I'm really concerned that the lanyard pin is inserted on both sides. Make sure I didn't bump anything too badly there. Okay, all we got to do now is put the bigger screws back in. And the, oops, did I go too far? Nope, we're good. Assembly part 1 will be finished, and we'll do part 2. Just snug those in. I'm pretty happy with the way it came. I don't feel like it needs tuned. I'm really happy with the way, just the way it is. Okay, let's put my clip back on there again. Here we go. Okay. Oops, holding it upside down. Nice. Yeah, it takes a significant amount of pressure to squeeze those buttons in, I think. Alrighty, let's move on to disassembly part 2. Okay, I think we'll just take the lanyard off just so that it's out of the way. And which side did I take off the first time? I took off the bottom, what I consider the bottom side. I did that strategically in case I messed something up, then at least it would be on the bottom and I wouldn't notice it as much. So we've taken apart this side already. I have. Let's take this side apart. What I need to do is go get a Q-tip and clean these surfaces off real quick. Okay, I would not use any kind of solution on this, especially acetone, because we don't know if it's really PEI or not. But we're doing the right. Yep, we're doing the right side. I just want to get any oil from my finger off of this because we're going to use tape as part of our disassembly process. And earlier I used packing tape. I'd like to get the top of these screws cleaned off too. I don't know if they're spinning around or not, but the less oil on there, the better. And that's good enough for right now. I used packing tape earlier, 2-inch wide packing tape, and it left me with a little bit of extra work I had to do with my X-Acto knife. Then I found my roll of painter's tape. I use this for everything, and it happens to be just the right width to fit across here. So let's do that. And notice before I do that these are kind of set up in rows. These little ceramic balls were set up in rows, and what I'm going to do is lay the tape across here, and then we're going to start up here and gently push it down into that gap of each one of these until we reach this side. You'll see. But I'm going to line it up as best I can. I think that's good enough. Let me tear this off. Let me realign it now. Okay. Could have done that differently. A little bit better. Alright, now using the same Q-tip, I'm just going to sort of find where I'm at. I'm working. I want to press down pretty hard on this. I want it to seal off as much, and grab a hold of those balls as tightly as it can. And I'm trying to work in that's what she said there, but it just doesn't feel right. Okay, so you can sort of see what I've done there. Don't have to get much fancier than that, but to make things nice and a little easier, I am going to you can see, hopefully you can see through the tape there that there's a bit of a metal edge that I can clean off. And all you have to do is sort of find it with your X-Acto knife and just sort of follow I probably just scratched it. Maybe be a little bit more careful than I am. But we've got that. And then on this side, where's it at? Here it is. Okay, and then I'll just use my Swiss Army knife scissors to clean up the rest. Or do I need to? I won't do that. I'll just tear it off. Okay, and you can push it on there with your fingers and get it even better. So the idea is now we're going to remove these 2 screws which hold this on. I can show you better on this side since we haven't covered it up with tape yet. But here and here are 2 screws. Here and here are 2 screws. You can just see it through the PEI plastic there. If I hold it on its side, you should be able to see, make sure it's in focus, the depth. They go about half the way through. So what we're going to do now, we have all this done is take her apart. All right, now we're going to switch over to a different bit. This is the 5/64 bit. No, this is the T6 bit. And that'll take care of these little screws on the inside. I did not encounter any Loctite with this assembly. Everything was tightened down just right. Oh, sorry for the little wound on my finger there. I was out trying to increase the road that goes back to my campsite runs through a field, and there's been a lot of thorn bushes that have grown up along the years, over the years along that road, and I have been getting scratched to hell and back trying to cut those things back some. Okay, we've removed 4 screws now that it was previously holding onto this PEI. And what my hope to do now is, I assume, let me flip it back over this way quick. Before I had done any of this, well, I can see through the plastic, and I know there has to be a clicker dome, a little tiny little round, thin piece of metal underneath each one of these. And I would rather, if I take this off this way, without any tape on it, all the balls are going to roll off everywhere. And I think it would be a lot harder to put back together. I don't know that those balls are going to sit nicely on top of each one of those clicker domes or not. So this was the better alternative. It worked earlier. Let's see if it works this time. Let's make sure everything's nice and good and sticky on there. What we really want to do is just to keep the balls held into this PEI part. When I lift it off, there it got loose. When I lift it off the other side, a few clicker domes. Oh, a lot of them remain stuck on this one. I'll turn this over gently. Okay. See if that's in focus. Hopefully it's in focus. So you can see some balls here that are loose. Well, they're being held in by the tape. And then some clicker domes, probably held on by a little bit of finger oil, stuck to those ceramic balls. There's a whole bunch of them stuck right here. So we'll just leave those where they are and hope to flip it back over. On this side, you can see where they remain in place. Now remember, on this one, we relied on the magnetic strength of the magnets to hold those clicker domes in place, and we were able to just lift everything out of there. But there's no magnets doing that here. These are all loosely sitting in little countersunk holes. And of course they're sitting with the dome facing up this way. It does look like there's a little indentation in the center of each one of these, although it's really small. And the only way that I can think you'd be able to put this back together again is to try and balance the balls on each top of one of these and hope it goes back together again. Maybe that would work. Maybe you can just sit them in there once all the clicker domes are back in place. Maybe you can just place the ball on top of each one of these, and as you place this back on, it would sort of line them up. As it goes down on there, it would line the balls up. Maybe this tape is not as necessary as I think it is, but that's what I'm going with now. Everything stayed together exactly like it should be. I'm going to try to put it back together the way it is. You know what? I did want to do one thing before that. I want to measure one of these. Let me remove a ball. Which is proving to be more difficult than I expected. Really stuck to that tape, I guess. Oh, there I lost a clicker dome. Oh shit, I don't know which one it went to. Let's figure that out. Okay, there's 5, there's 5, there's 3, there's 3, there's 4, here's the missing one right here. I'm just going to place it. Let me put this back down before I do more damage. my little tiny tweezers. Look at one of these clicker domes. See if I can get that in focus. It's so small. No, probably hard to see, but very delicate. I'm just going to use this, lay it right back down in there. These are magnetic. Okay, that's back in place, and I want to see one of these balls and measure the diameter. So I'm going to use that to help me push it out the bottom. Okay, where'd it go? Here it is. Here we go. Four millimeter balls. Any 4mm balls could go with this. What would make it look interesting, I think, would be to use some white silicone balls. Mix them up, black and white. But you could use any 4mm ball and get away with it. All right, now we're going to hope everything stays together. I'm going to flip this back over. Try to line it up as best I can. Sort of trying to feel my way, and I'm not doing a good job. Off that much. That's just sort of an optical illusion. I'm going to check it again and see if I didn't mess anything up. Nope, still looks good. There we go. Okay, feels like it pushed down the whole way to me. I'm gonna, well, let's see, that one almost didn't work. Sorry, but I gotta check each one. Success. Okay, now we can just put these 4 screws back in. Oops. Yeah, I thought this was a very pretty looking slider, and I have a nice PEI bead that I'm gonna make another lanyard clip with. I'd really like to make another one with one of these nice, I don't know what the name of that knot is on the end there, but that's the first time I've ever done one of those, and it took a good while to do, watching a video over and over again. Well, maybe if I do it a few times, I'll learn to do it. But it's not easy. That's like making a monkey fist. I've done that in the past, where you take like a marble or a glass, or if you want to do damage, a steel bearing. Oops, something was in the way there. Don't tighten these too much. Just snug them in lightly because they're going into that PEI plastic. If you turn it too hard once it's in the whole way, there's a chance. Although these are shouldered screws, they do have a little lip to them, so they might not be able to go in too far, if you know what I mean. But my general rule is just keep these things snugged in, and every once in a while check that they're not coming loose. And if you do find something that's perpetually coming loose, then get some Loctite 222. It's purple and it's temporary. It's not what the spinner folks use. That's 242 blue. And it's also temporary, but it's way too strong for these little screws. You need the purple 222. Let's go from there now that we got her back together. Okay, we can take this tape off the back now. It worked nicely. Next time I will try taking it off and just letting the balls go where they may, and I'll try putting it back on differently. But that did the job for me. What I hear rattling around now is that little O-ring, or not O-ring, the split ring that I put in for my lanyard clip. Problem is, there we go. That made it easier. I can actually see what I was doing. So here we go. That's it. I'm pretty happy with it. I think it was worth it. So please let me know in the comments if you have any questions. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. One last thing I'd say is that, again, with the tariffs, don't know where we're headed with that, but I do have at least 5 other pieces in the pipeline to talk about that we haven't talked about yet. So hope this was, I try to keep my eye on the volume. I try to speak loud enough, but I know I fade in and out a little bit. Hope everything went well with that. And again, I'll say goodnight. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Thanks for watching. Bye.